Alrighty, what is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to be going through the Patriots Week 1 free agency moves and kind of sharing some of my thoughts and ultimately giving my grade on each of those signings. This is something I did 2 years ago when the Patriots spent massive money on Jonnu, Hunter Henry, Aguilar, all those guys. And it was something you guys really loved. You guys loved that video. So I wanted to bring it back after a pretty good Week 1 free agency by Bill Belichick and the Patriots front office there. I don't remember if I did it last year, but I definitely know I did it 2 years ago. Depending what the Patriots continue to do throughout free agency, maybe I'll do this again for like week 2, week 3. Just depends on what they do. But week 1 was pretty active. So in this video, I'm going to be going through all of the signings and even the re-signings too. The only guys I don't have on here would be like Matthew Slater, just because we already talked about that. That happened a while ago. And just those earlier on contracts that I already made videos on. But everything else that happened this week, I'm going to be touching on, including, JuJu, Gesicki, Calvin Anderson, Riley Reiff, Chris Board, just everyone. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone, and this is in no specific order, but without further ado, let's get into the video. We got Chase in the background, so you guys know it's going to be a good video. Before we hop into the video, though, if you guys want to get some more benefits from the channel, some more Patriots content, get in with the conversations, and support the channel, the best way to do that is to become a Patreon member. Our Patreon is growing each and every single day. More members are joining, and this is the best time to do so. It's $10 a month. You can obviously do more if you want to give more back to the channel. Of course, that's always appreciated, but you'll get some more exclusive content here from time to time. You get access to a Discord-only chat with me and other Patreon members. This is a direct chat to me. Ask me questions anytime, any day. Ask other Patriots fans questions. We talk in this nonstop, every single day, nonstop. And I got my boy Tom in here also, who gives us some inside breaking news. We don't just talk about breaking news for the Patriots, but we talk about breaking news throughout the entirety of the NFL, especially when it impacts any way, shape, or form the Patriots. So if you want to get in on that conversation, come and join us, become a Patreon member, link in the description below. Like always, too, some other benefits that the Patreon members really like is that during my live streams, you guys have the ability to come on and share your thoughts. Yes, live in front of all of Pats Nation. It will be cemented here on YouTube forever. Your thoughts, your opinions, you get to come on this channel live with me and the other Patreon members and just discuss what you're thinking on certain topics involving the Patriots. And you'll even be able to join me on draft day, day 1, to react to the Patriots picks and all of the other picks. It's a draft party I've been doing for a couple of years. You guys really liked it, so I thought, hey, why not bring it back? If you guys are interested in this, becoming a Patreon member, great way, like I said, to get some more benefits, but also really, really does well in supporting the channel. Link in the description below. First link as always. I really appreciate it, guys. Alrighty, so now that we have a little bit of a longer introduction than I was expecting, let's hop right into this. So first off, like I said, no specific order, but JuJu Smith Schuster. Straight off the bat, I am going to give this one a B+. I like this. Is it a top of the end signing? No, but in a really bad year to need a wide receiver, the Patriots go out, they get a guy that fits the system, fits what they want to do, fits the type of receivers that have always worked out here very well, and they get one of the top guys on the wide receiver market. I've liked JuJu for the Patriots for quite a few years now, and this is probably the 3rd year that I was like, hey, this is a chance for the Patriots to go get him, and they finally did, and I'm actually really excited to see what he's able to do. The terms of the contract also are not bad at all. I mean, it's a better contract than Jakobi Meyers. And I love Jakobi on and off the field. I will always love Jakobi Meyers. But from a football standpoint, are we going to sit here and actually have a discussion that Jakobi Meyers is a better receiver than JuJu Smith Schuster? Are we really going to have that conversation? You're going to lose the convo 10 out of 10 times. And the Patriots get JuJu on a better contract than the Raiders got for Jakobi Meyers. At the end of the day, both of those contracts are 3 years, $33 million. but the Patriots are only giving Juju $16 million guaranteed. It's a heavily incentive-based contract. You get a guy who, after the catch, brings a lot more than Jakobi Meyers was ever able to do for you. So you're definitely an upgrade in terms of wide receiver 2. Can he be wide receiver 1? I don't know. We'll have to see if he's able to do it. But this is not a position I want to put Juju in. I think if you want to get the best out of Juju, there needs to be a guy ahead of him. You look at the year he put up 1,400 yards with the Steelers. You had Antonio Brown ahead of him. When Antonio Brown left and you asked Juju to be that number 1 guy, he still put up good stats, 700-800 yards. But, from your wide receiver 1, that's not exactly the numbers you want, nor are you expecting. This past year resets that market with the Chiefs, puts up almost 1,000 yards with them. Why? Because you have Travis Kelce, who is still receiver 1 when it comes to a guy you're going to guard, when it comes to defensive coordinators trying to figure out how to game plan. That number 1 guy is not Juju for you. So, if the Patriots can find a number 1 guy that will get that attention taken away from Juju, I think that this is an even better signing and it's going to prove itself. But at the end of the day, I do think that it's definitely an upgrade over Jakobi Meyers, and I really like the contract. So, like I said, B+. Moving on here to Mike Gesicki. This is an A for me. This is an A for me. I think that the Patriots did really well with this signing. You're not really getting a blocker, and the Patriots like their overall well-rounded tight ends, but you already have that there with Hunter Henry. You already have a good offensive line. They brought in good swing tackles, which we'll get in here too also. So I think you have your guys locked up there in terms of blocking. Now, yeah, he's going to be a little one-dimensional in terms of like, hey, Mike Gesicki's on the field. Oh my God, are the Patriots going to run the ball or are they going to pass it? Like they know you're going to pass it, but at the end of the day, you're doing the right thing in terms of Mac Jones. You're getting him weapons. Mike Gesicki's been a top 10 tight end in the league for a few years now. I mean, last year he took a step back just in terms of, you look at what the Dolphins had, new head coach, understandable. That's why he left. But when it comes to terms for the Patriots, especially you look at the tight ends throughout the league, Mike Gesicki is one of the best receiving tight ends, not a good blocker, but from a receiving standpoint, one of the best tight ends in the league. And obviously has those connections back to Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien actually recruited him to Penn State. So again, you're getting familiarity within the building, and you can never go wrong with that. The contract is 1 year, up to $9 million. That's the most he can make, and it's only $3.5 million guaranteed. How can you hate this contract? The upside it brings, the familiarity with Bill O'Brien in the offense, and only 3.5 mil guaranteed. I mean, this was a steal for the Patriots. So like I said, it's going to be an A for me. James Robinson here, this is going to be an A- for me. Maybe that's a little high for some people, but I really liked this signing. By the way, guys, I have videos out for all of these guys. Not all Patriots re-signings, but when it comes to new signings and even some of these Patriots re-signings, I have videos out if you want to know what these guys bring, want to know a little bit about them. Again, videos on all of these guys, so go check it out. I'll also have a playlist for all of the Patriots free agent signings for this year, for 2023. So once I make that, I'll also link. But like I said, all those videos up right now. But like I said, James Robinson, A-. That contract is a 2-year, $8 million contract. Currently, we don't know all of this, the certain aspects to that contract, like the guaranteed money and whatnot. But something the Patriots have been doing all offseason is incentive-based contracts where, hey, we'll give you money. We'll give you money if you can actually play for us. If you can put up the statistic for us, we're okay with giving you the money. And we see that. Like I said, Mike Gesicki, he can make up to $9 million, but they're not guaranteeing him that $9 million. They learned from JuJu, which, hey, we'll give you the money, but it's going to be incentive based. It's going to be a little bit lower money when it comes to guaranteed. Like, yeah, you could go get more money guaranteed from somewhere else, but we're going to give you the opportunity to make more overall money if you put in the work. I mean, that's what it is. James Robinson, 2-year, $8 million deal. You average that out. That's only $4 million a year. And yeah, there's question marks for James Robinson because he's coming off of, I believe, an ACL injury. I don't remember if it's ACL or Achilles, but nonetheless, suffered that. Didn't come back in 2022 all that well. obviously gets traded from the Jags, who had Travis Etienne, and then gets traded to the Jets, and he only played a few games. They didn't even give him a whole lot of snaps anyway, so I don't know how they're going to say that trade didn't work out when they barely gave him an opportunity to do anything. But those types of injuries can actually take, up to a year or two to actually get the best back from that player. So, James Robinson rather is going to come to the Patriots, who have a much better offensive line than the Jets, a better offensive line than the Jags. And I'm confident in saying that. Somebody like tweeted at me and was like, "What are you talking about? They have a better, they have an equivalent O-line to what the Jets had." No, they don't. How are you going to say that the Patriots have an equivalent O-line right now to what the Jets had last year? I think that's just absolutely absurd. Anybody who thinks that. So we'll have a better offensive line, better overall blockers, and the Patriots utilize the run game more than really any other team does. They know how to run the ball. Passing game might be up and down, but they know how to run the ball. James Robinson won't have to do it all by himself. Obviously, between him and Ramondre Stevenson. And the reason they didn't re-sign Damian Harris is because James Robinson is going to give you not just an elite rushing attack, but he's also going to help you in terms of a receiving back. His ability as a receiving back is very, very underrated, and that's something the Patriots are looking for. The ability for their running backs to catch out of the backfield. That third down back, that James White role, that Shane Vereen role that we've been looking for several years, that Kevin Folk role that the Patriots have always had. Patriots don't necessarily have that, or they don't have an answer for that, I should say. Is it Pierre Strong? Is it not Pierre Strong? We still have to see, but the Patriots are at least getting a guy who can help you from a rushing standpoint, take some of that load off Ramondre, but also help you and Mac Jones in the receiving game, which is very important. So I like this. He was a 1,000-yard receiver before. He dominates fantasy. So obviously probably not now that he's here in New England, but a guy with a lot of upside as long as he can kind of come back from that injury. So really like that signing. Calvin Anderson here. I'm going to give this one a B minus. That contract is a 2-year, $7 million contract with $4 million guaranteed. Looking at that contract, he's probably a lock to make this team. To me, it's just in what capacity. I like the fact that he's a guy that has some experience in the NFL. He has 12 career starts, 7 of which are coming from last year. So not a whole lot of starts in the NFL, but has experience at right tackle, has experience at left tackle, mainly is a left tackle, but still has experience at both. And that's kind of something that I wanted Bill Belichick to do this offseason, but something that he also clearly wants to do this offseason, because it seems like every single offensive lineman he's bringing in free agency-wise has that ability to play on either side, whether that's right tackle or left tackle. So I like that for him. Obviously, slightly familiar with the system. He played 2 weeks when the Patriots signed him as a UDFA before signing with, I believe it was the Jets. And then obviously after the Jets went to Denver. I just look at this contract and I'm like, 2 years, $7 million. $4 million guaranteed. I like him as a guy who would come in maybe as like a camp body. Let's see what he can do. Has that potential for sure. And especially after Riley Reiff, who I think is a guaranteed roster lock. It's like, okay, well, where's he going to come in? Because you're not going to trade Trent Brown. That would be absurd. You don't trade Trent Brown to have Riley Reiff and Calvin Anderson as your starting tackles. That's just, you're asking for something wrong to happen. And I would assume the Patriots would like Riley Reiff as a starter over Calvin Anderson. It's going to be a roster battle for sure, but you're going to pay a lot of money to a guy, at least guaranteed money, to a guy that's going to, I guess, be a depth piece and a swing tackle for you in Calvin Anderson. So like the signing, contract in terms of guaranteed money, probably a roster lock. I'm kind of just a little up there, but excited to see the potential. Moving on to Riley Reiff. I'm going to give this one a B. I like this a little bit more than Calvin Anderson. You're getting a veteran guy in the building. The Patriots have had a lot of younger guys, whether that's Connor McDermott, who they re-signed. They re-signed Yannick Kajust. Obviously have a few guys from the draft last year, Andrew Stuber, Chasen Hines at guard. So the offensive line is young with a lot of uncertainty. At least Riley Reiff is a guy who is in his 30s. You know what you're getting out of him. Several years in the league. You can never go wrong with that. And like I said, he has that experience as a right tackle and left tackle too. I think he's mainly a left tackle, just like Calvin Anderson, but again, has experience playing at both sides. I would assume that if he starts for the Patriots next year, he's playing at right tackle. But 1 year, $5 million with $4.1 million guaranteed. He's going to make the roster. This contract tells me he's going to make the roster one way or another. And like I said, I like the idea of bringing him in. He had a down year this past year with Chicago, and like, say what you want, they had their ups and downs. But again, he's past his 30s. He's on the decline. He's not what he once was, especially when you're an offensive lineman, you reach your 30s. And I think he's like 32, 33. I'm a little concerned with the level of play the Patriots are going to get. And I think you can have a better overall tackle than Riley Reiff. And like I said, I just kind of have some questions because I think you could have gotten the guy in the draft. If you want to get a guy at right tackle that you could have plugged in here day one, whether it's round one or round two, you could have plugged in day one. That probably would have been better than Riley Reiff. And I think there's a world in which the Patriots are bringing in guys like Calvin Anderson and Riley Reiff as depth pieces and insurance policies. In case they draft a guy early on and he ends up not being ready, or they want to slowly kind of work that guy in. But again, you look at Riley Reiff's contract, you look at Calvin Anderson's contract, and these guys just seem like they're guaranteed roster spots at this point. So um, overall, I like the signing, brings in a veteran aspect, but kind of just have some question marks with how this entire offensive line is going to work out and just kind of the level of play ultimately you're going to get from Riley Reiff, and because you have gotten better play if you even just went to the draft. Now, moving on here to Chris Board. I don't think a lot of people are going to like this. I'm going to give this one a C. I'm not a big fan of it. I thought about giving it a C plus, and I was like, maybe that's a little too like Patriots fan homer type pick. This is a 2-year, $5 million contract, $2.6 million guaranteed. Chris Board isn't going to give you much defensively. He's played not a whole lot of defensive snaps each and every single year, whether it was on the Ravens or the Lions. Now, each year he's played more defensive snaps, but he hasn't made a whole lot of plays. He hasn't done much. He's not a guy that's going to be a starter. He's not really a guy you want as a rotational piece. I'd rather have Mack Wilson be a rotational piece on the defense than I would somebody like Chris Board, and I think that says a lot. He's a great special teamer. Belichick has high praise for him. I think he thinks that he's one of the best special teamers. And hey, maybe we're getting like the next version of a Matthew Slater in here right now. You can't really compare the two, obviously, but Matthew Slater's probably gone after this year. The Patriots are really building up the special teams, and Bill loves this guy. So maybe he's the next future, long-term future for us at special teams, but a guy that's only going to give you special teams ability. And after all the special teams signings, and like I said, just like a 2-year, $5 million contract, $2.6 million guaranteed, a little bit high for me for a guy that's only going to play special teams while we have a lot of guys already on special teams. So I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love it personally. And I couldn't really go higher with the grade. Speaking of linebackers that are mainly special teamers, Mack Wilson, I'm going to give this one a B minus. 1 year, $1.6 million, $575,000 guaranteed. He had interest elsewhere. So when I looked at this contract, I was a little surprised at the fact that it was that low. Like, did he just want to return to New England, or were other teams offering you less money? I wasn't big on the re-signing. After you have Chris Board here, you have Matthew Slater here, you have Cody Davis now back. Like, we've made so many moves on special teams. And I looked at Mack Wilson's play from last year. He only played like 20% of the Patriots defensive snaps last year. Didn't play a single defensive snap the final 5 weeks for the Patriots defensively. That says something. And there's a little bit of concern there for me. He was I don't want to say a failed 5th round pick because it's a 5th round pick. He's probably met expectations at this point as a 5th round pick, but there were higher expectations for Mack Wilson. Coming out of Alabama and going into the draft process with the Cleveland Browns, and didn't really do so. Has great speed, sideline to sideline speed, was supposed to be a great coverage guy and just wasn't that. Wasn't really good for the Patriots. I expected more from him defensively, especially coming to New England, and nothing really happened. He's a guy that's probably at this point a depth piece when it comes to linebacker. Maybe he gets into the rotation here and there, but I'm not confident with him playing defense. I thought he was good on special teams, so it seems like this is maybe just another special teams move. But I look at that contract and I say the Patriots can get out of this contract at the end of the season, or not the end of the season, but before the season starts, at the end of training camp, at the end of preseason, if they're like, yeah, we have enough guys, we just don't need you. So that's why I gave this one a B minus, and at least he has ability to play special teams and make some plays. Moving on to Jon Jones here. I'm going to give this one an A-. I like this. A 2-year, $19 million contract, $13 million guaranteed. That does not even round out to $10 million a year. The Patriots got a steal on Jonathan Jones, a guy who can play the slot and is elite in the slot, a guy who this past year played at outside perimeter corner. It's Chase. Played outside perimeter corner, wasn't terrible, wasn't great, dealt with some injuries. Obviously, you want to get the best out of him, play him in the slot. And just that contract we got for him was unbelievable. He wanted to come back to New England. He's a true Patriot. The contract shows it. You got to love Jon Jones. I just have some question marks on him coming back to the Patriots. And now I said that they should re-sign him because he is a speed cornerback. He's one of the fastest 40 times for a corner in the last few years. I think he actually ran the fastest or like a top 3 fastest 40 the year that the Patriots signed him as a UDFA. I'm just a little concerned with where are we going to place him? Are we expecting Jon Jones to be a perimeter cornerback again? Because if that's the case, I don't like this move. I think last year it was okay. It was fine at times, but we need a guy who can actually be an outside perimeter guy. And Jon Jones is a good player, but the height is such a disadvantage, and he plays well within the slot. And if you're going to bring him back to play in the slot, which, okay, like I said, he's been one of the best slot corners in the NFL over the last few years, minus last year because he didn't really play there. But if you're going to play him in the slot, now you don't play Marcus Jones in the slot. And Marcus Jones showed a lot of promise on defense and says he wants to play defense. So at that point, are you just making Marcus Jones only a special teams guy? Because if you're not playing Jon Jones on the outside, you're not going to play Marcus Jones on the inside. He's smaller. So I just have a lot of questions on how that's going to exactly line up defensively. But a guy who obviously has a lot of speed, has been in the system for very long. He's a leader, which you need from a Devin McCourty replacement standpoint. And when you have the Dolphins twice a year with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you need a guy like Jon Jones. So again, super happy to have him back. Now, Miles Bryant was signed to a tender. I'm going to give this one a C+. 1 year, $2.6 million guaranteed. I don't understand the contract. Why did we put a tender on him like another team was going to sign him, like another team was going to push to sign him? Because $2.6 million guaranteed, like we could have got him within the $1 million range with less than $100 million guaranteed to bring him back. Teams were not pushing to sign him. So why did we sign him to a tender thinking another team was going to try to take him and then give him $2.6 million guaranteed? Like he's not worth that money. I don't know the Patriots playing here. I'm not as much of a hater on Miles Bryant as a lot of people. I think he's improved. I think that he's just not a cornerback. He's not a guy you want to play in the slot. He's not a guy you want to play on the outside, but they put him at safety and he's looked better there. The height's obviously a disadvantage, but if you put him as a safety, let him play what's in front of him. He's looked better there, made some plays, obviously in the run game, but at the end of the day, it gives you depth. And a guy that's been in the system for a very long time now, few years. So it gives you depth there. The Patriots need that with uncertainties in their secondary, both at safety and cornerback. So I don't hate it, but I hate the contract. And that's what really, really ruined it for me. So it's just a C+ here for me. Now, Carl Davis is going to be a 1-year deal. The terms are just not known at all. So it could change. The overall grade could change depending on what the numbers are, but I'm going to guess it's not a whole lot of money. I'm going to give it a B-, just a pretty much average grade there for Carl Davis. I think this is a good rotational guy, been in the system for a couple of years now. Like I said, rotational / depth piece. He's not a guy you want to be a starter, but helps plug the middle, can make some plays as a pass rusher, but at the end of the day is good at stopping the run. Not much to say about it. He's a guy that's been pretty good for us within the interior, and I like that. Yanni Kajust here. I'm going to give him a B- also. A 1-year, $2.7 million contract. He was tendered too, and I don't understand that also because who was going to rush to sign Yanni Kajust? Patriots put a third-round tender on him, meaning that if you want to sign Yanni Kajust, you have to give us a third-round pick, and we can still match that contract. It's not going to happen. The only reason this one isn't lower like Miles Bryant is one, because it's $2.7 million, not guaranteed. Not exactly sure all the terms of this contract because they haven't dropped yet, but it's 2.7 not fully guaranteed. So probably still some incentives built in there. And I think, Yanni Kajus early on since being drafted dealt with a lot of injuries, but this past year did show some promise. And I'd like to see the Patriots work with him a little bit more this offseason and see what's there. And then, cut ties if he's just not looking good still or just dealing with injuries. But again, with a year in which you're trying to figure out what your offensive line is going to be, especially with tackles, bringing back a young guy, Yanni Kajus, is a good move because he showed some promise, like I said. Daniel Ekuale, so happy the Patriots got this guy back. I did not think they were going to be able to. I thought he was going to have a bigger market. But I think the contract shows that he did have a market. B plus by the Patriots. This is a 2-year deal. Let me emphasize this: a 2-year deal worth up to $6 million, guys. Up to $6 million. That means that's the max he can get. I don't know the base value that he's making. That's not dropped, but we know that he can make a total of $6 million throughout those 2 years, and that's the max that he can make. Another incentive-based contract here that averages out to $3 million a year. And Daniel Ekuale is another guy that's not really a starting piece, but he's a rotational piece. And he's the only guy outside of Christian Barmore that gives you pressure within the interior of the defensive line. All your other guys, whether that's Devon Godchow, Lawrence Guy, like all those guys are run stoppers. They are not going to get you pressure within the middle. Christian Barmore is that only guy. He dealt with injuries. Like, if the Patriots want to have a premier pass rush, get Christian Barmore on the field with Daniel Ekuale, Matt Judon, and Josh Uche. That's going to be your best package to get pressure. But again, you have Christian Barmore deal with injuries. You can plug in Daniel Ekuale, who has put up a few sacks for the Patriots now over the last 2 years from the interior and has done actually a very good job when given the opportunity to be on the field. So super happy to have him back. And I think this goes a much bigger way than he's given credit for. Now, looks like the last one I have on my list here is going to be Cody Davis. This was, I think, the most recent signing we made. This one's a C. This one's a C for me. I don't really understand it. I don't love it. Cody Davis is 33 years old. He's 33. How he's still in the league, I'm not sure. He had an ACL tear, a complete ACL tear, week 6. It wasn't in preseason. It wasn't training camp. It wasn't week 1. It was fairly deep into the season. And in your 30s, I think he was 32 at the time, a complete ACL tear. I thought he was going to retire. I really don't know how much he has in it as a guy who's 33, let alone coming off a complete ACL tear. I think that, he's obviously only a special teamer. He's not going to give you anything defensively because he is a safety, but specifically special teams here, you have enough guys. And obviously, he's a veteran when it comes to special teams and teaching these younger guys. It goes a long way. But you at least have Matthew Slater here for another year. It's a 1-year deal here for Cody Davis. Terms not yet known. And I don't think that after this 1 year, he's going to continue playing here. Like, he's probably done. So again, what was the point? You have Matthew Slater here to teach these younger guys. We still have a veteran aspect, but you have guys like Mac Wilson and Chris Board and just all these special teams guys that you signed so far. I don't understand signing or re-signing a Cody Davis, 33 years old, with a complete ACL tear, not even a year ago. So not a fan of this one. But that is going to be my grades on the Patriots re-signings so far. I don't think I missed anyone, but you guys let me know in the comment section below if I did. That's going to wrap up today's video. I really appreciate you guys for watching and giving me all the support you have recently. A lot of content coming your way. Free agency dying down a little bit. We're going to switch into draft here shortly. Not just yet, but shortly we're going to have a lot of great content and mock drafts coming up for you guys. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news if you have not already. Become a Patreon member if you guys would like some more content. And again, support the channel here. But like I always say, guys, I appreciate you for watching.